very good morning, all. Our special guest, Rajeev Ranadive, sir, with us today. Very welcome today at Gyaniki Tech Talk episode 73. Today we have joined by Ranadive. He is a chairman and managing director of Pixy Cars Private Limited. So Rajiv sir has a very wider experience in automobile. So with his 40 plus years of experience in automobile domain, from conventional automobile system to electric propulsion. So he have working with a lot in EV space as well as in the conventional IC engine side. So, please welcome Rajiv Ranadive sir to our Gyaniki Tech Talk show. Rajiv sir, you can put your video turn on and the session with you right now. Yeah.
So, good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me and see my presentation. Uh, Now, startup is a serious business, and we have to look at the startup as a business, not as an engineering competition. Now, what is most important for a startup is the sellability of the product that they have made. It is not something about engineering capability, but it is about the sellability. Now, we have to also look at the appropriate technology. The technology has to be appropriate. You cannot have an overdose of technology, and you cannot give less than what the customer wants. So a balance has to be maintained. Then there are also opportunities for MSME. So we will cover all that as we go along. The first most important point that one needs to look at before even he starts developing the product is to find a gap in the market. Now, what is the gap? So let us look at the possible gaps that people have seen before, and they have succeeded or not succeeded, both. So initially, when the cars were manufactured, the cars were custom built for wealthy people. However, Henry Ford found a gap. He found that farmers also needed a vehicle, and he decided to create a vehicle for farmers. So he said that they need to carry fresh farm products. They need independence from the public transport system. They need flexibility of timing. They should be able to go when they want to go. And they have to go to different places, collect their supplies, and come back. So they definitely need a private vehicle. Now, what should be a farmer's vehicle? He decided that farmer's vehicle should be durable, rugged. It should have load carrying ability. It should have space. And then it should have high ground clearance, ease of service, etc., etc. So he decided that how to now make the vehicle. He said that I cannot make multiple vehicles as per the customer's choice. I will make only one. And then I will standardize all the parts so that I can use common parts for everywhere, for all vehicles. And then I can do mass production. And then he told the customers that I won't even give you different colors. You can have any color as long as it is black. That is the most famous saying of Henry Ford. And he created this Model T. And we know how customers or the farmers liked it. And he actually changed the whole scenario of the automotive market. He gave everything that the customer wanted. And he reduced the cost by improving his efficiency. He did not dilute the product. That is very important. If you want to cut the cost, it does not mean you dilute the product. And I think there are a lot of people who mistake that. They try to dilute the product to bring the cost down. That is not the correct way of doing it, because then the customer feels that he is cheated or he doesn't like the product. So we have to make sure that the customer is happy at the end. There was another very important gap, and it's a historic gap, so I would like to cover that. Around 1960s, Lee Iacocca, he found that there was no American sports car, and Americans have a different liking for the car. They like a big car, they like a very sort of, you can say, a luxurious car. So there was a need for developing an American sports car, and there were a lot of sport cars which were popular. They were coming from Europe. So what he did, he conceptualized Ford Mustang, which became a history. And how he did that was he took Ford Falcon platform. Now Ford Falcon is a fairly family size car. It's not a small car. He attached a sporty body to that. The engineering was very shoddy because you have a car which is designed for a much greater load, and then your suspension is heavy, your steering doesn't perform like a sports car. In spite of shoddy engineering, it had unprecedented success. Why? Because he gave what the customers wanted, and customers tolerated some of the shortcomings. And later on, the vehicle models were improved, and it has become a iconic vehicle. Similar thing has happened also in India, and I was a part of it, so I'm very proud of what happened. In 1980s, there was what is known as oil shock. Suddenly, the oil prices skyrocketed. Petrol prices were triple, and they tried to retain the diesel prices. So at that point in time, Mahindra used to manufacture a vehicle based on Jeep, Willys Jeep, which was a petrol vehicle and a short wheelbase. What they did was they enlarged the wheelbase, they made a long wheelbase vehicle, and they were already manufacturing tractors with international tractors. So they took the international tractor engine and they put it on this car or this Jeep, whatever it is. And then, so what happened was they created a vehicle which could move. It had a lot of vibrations, a lot of noise, whatever shortcomings. It was not a drivable vehicle. I have used it a lot, and I can tell you that. But it became a very, very popular vehicle in the rural market because it created a last mile connectivity from the remote towns up to the nearby villages and very difficult places. So it became very popular, and then this is how Mahindra survived. So it was a matter of survival for Mahindra at that point in time. Another game changer gap was discovered sometime in late 1990s. I also had a little bit of play in that. Tata's discovered that there was a gap between a light commercial vehicle and a small three-wheeler, a load carrier three-wheeler. And they thought that a gap between that could be bridged by a vehicle they conceptualized as a Tata Ace. And we all know that Tata Ace made a history. They had record sales, and now this gap has been filled, or there are a lot of competitors who have come into that gap. So the importance of the gap is what I have tried to highlight here. I hope you have understood. So let's now look at differentiation. What is differentiation? Differentiation is that you are trying to give something which your competitor does not have. That is differentiation. In simple terms, there are more aspects to differentiation, but I am just trying to simplify. The classic example is Rolls-Royce. They said that our vehicle will have the best in class luxury, highest performance, highest luxury, highest uh, everything highest, including durability, reliability, no noise and all that. So they are standing on their own. They have differentiated from all their competitors throughout maybe almost a century now. Same thing happened also in India. Let us look at Mahindra's vehicle, which they created as a family vehicle based on the same Jeep platform, but with a better engine and a better body. They created a vehicle which they positioned as a family vehicle. This vehicle was very successful, and it is still very successful. Then came Innova, Toyota Innova. They positioned themselves as a more comfortable vehicle, more refined vehicle, maybe more safe vehicle, and they captured another market. So here also they have differentiated from Mahindra. They have not gone head on. So if you have a product which is directly heading on to another product, then you have a problem and you have a clash. So it is always better to differentiate. So apart from the gap, you need to make sure that your product is completely differentiated. Maybe there is no gap. You still want to enter, like what Toyota did, but then you need to differentiate. Now, in the two-wheeler market, when two-wheelers came into the market way back in 1990s, there was a Java 250cc and then Hero Honda and other 100cc vehicles. Hero Honda said that ours is a fuel efficient vehicle, fill it, shut it, and forget it. And Java said that it's a man's vehicle and all that. But then people opted for a better fuel efficiency. As I mentioned, there was a fuel crisis. So people opted for fuel efficiency than a more powerful vehicle. Now, what is appropriate technology? Let us look at appropriate technology. Appropriate technology is you try to give the customer what he requires. You don't give too much and you don't give too less. So that balance has to be properly managed. That is appropriate technology. Now, this Mahindra vehicle, I believe, is a very appropriate vehicle. They have given everything that the customer wants, and they have not given too much. Look at Porsche 911. Here also, this vehicle, they have given everything that their customer wants. So your customer may be different than my customer. So you have to understand what your customer wants, what product you have, and then you give something that this particular customer wants. It is not universal that you give this to every customer. You have to understand the customer and give what is appropriate for that particular product. Now, another product which came into sporty car was Bugatti. They gave much more than what the customer wanted. And customers said that, no, we don't want this. It is too expensive needlessly because nobody is going to drive a vehicle at 450 kilometers per hour. So why are you making a car which is going at 450 kilometers per hour? So this car, although it was much superior in whatever terms than Porsche, people did not buy it. Let's look at a very classic example. In 1957, Ford went bankrupt. The banks took control of Ford Motors. They kick out Mr. Ford and they said that now we are going to decide what Ford should do. They said that we should have a car of the future. And they conceptualized what was uh, called Edsel, Ford Edsel. Now, because they wanted a car of the future, they wanted the car to look different. So they gave a completely different identity to the vehicle. And the customer said that this is not an American styling. This is not something that we are used to. So styling became one major problem for them. Now, another thing what they did was they tried to completely change the driver's environment, which the drivers were used to. So the gear shifter was positioned in the center of the hub where the horn used to be, and they gave push buttons. The customer said that what is this push button thing? We don't know. We are very used to having a proper gear shifter. What is this? Then all those cars at that time had uh, a rectangular meter which had everything in that cluster. And people were very familiar with the cluster, whereas here in this car they gave too many gauges because they wanted to replicate what is there in the aircraft. Now this again the customers did not like. They said that we don't know where we should look. So this again was rejected. And this car, in spite of huge investment into this car, just went bankrupt. So the bankers had to withdraw and they gave control back to Mr. Ford. Let's see what happened in India. It was sometime around 1995. And again, I was involved in both these cars. I was with Mahindra when Ford Escort was launched. Ford Escort was launched with 1.3-liter pushrod engine and the body was outdated. At that time, I shifted to General Motors and then General Motors launched Opel Astra. This was with 1.6-liter overhead cam throttle body injection. At that time, throttle body was uh, state-of-the-art technology, and the body styling was very fresh. Now, the customers, about 2 lakh customers had booked Ford Escort. When they saw Opel Astra, many cancelled their bookings, and they came to Opel Astra, and Opel Astra became a very big success. So you know that appropriate technology, even at a little higher cost, people accept it. You don't have to always think about low cost. That is a wrong idea, completely wrong. People have not accepted it. Now, if you do something once, it is not sufficient. You have to do it continuously. Every few years, you need to update your product, you need to update the styling, you need to update also the technology. Now, positioning. Positioning is you try to communicate to your customer about your product. What kind of product is this? And there is a very short video, and I will show that to explain that. So you see that each brand has positioned itself differently, and they created their own image. So it was a very nice video. I thought it would be quite interesting. Now, General Motors has multiple brands. Now, their top of the line brand is Cadillac. They say that Cadillac is a top of the line luxury vehicle. This is how they position it. Next is Buick. Buick, they say is a performance luxury vehicle. And then they have Chevrolet Impala, which they say is a full-size family car. So they have positioned their vehicles for different customers at different price brackets. Now let's come to the electric vehicle. I think all of you are waiting for what I say about the electric vehicles. In 1990s, General Motors launched this vehicle called EV1. This EV1 was not liked by the customer. Obviously, one reason was it had a very odd styling. And Americans said that this is not the car that we are looking for. We are not very familiar with this kind of a car. And then it did not have the right type of performance. It did not also have sufficient range. And then this car had to be abandoned. Then came famous Elon Musk. What he said is that electric cars are not our competitors. Don't look at another electric cars. The customer will compare EV with IC. He will see what is the IC vehicle option available for him, what is the electric vehicle option available for him, and then he will decide what he should buy. So IC engine is our competitor, not the electric vehicle. Let's see what he actually meant by some Indian example. Now, if you try and compare two electric vehicles, You see on top there is a Nissan Leaf and you see Mahindra E2O. If you compare these two, that is not the comparison the customer is making, whether he wants to buy expensive electric vehicle or whether he wants to buy a cheap electric vehicle. He is looking at buying a car. So he will compare whether he should buy 8 lakh rupees Mahindra E2O or 2.5 lakh rupees Maruti 800. So for him, this Mahindra E2O is an expensive vehicle. It is not a cheap electric car. It is an expensive electric car. So that is how the customer looks at it. Now, Elon Musk said that how we leverage the performance and efficiency of the electric drive. And that is the way we will be able to win over the customer. So what he did was, he decided that he will try and target against some IC engine vehicle. And he decided that he will target Porsche Panamera. And he created Tesla Model S. If you see, Tesla Model S dimensionally is very identical to Porsche Panamera. Styling is very similar. And the performance, both vehicles have very identical performance. If you try to drive, in fact, Tesla has a much better acceleration than Porsche Panamera, although top speed of Porsche Panamera is little bit higher than Tesla Model S. Both were priced at $100,000 at that point in time. Now, in US, people buy the vehicle on monthly EMI. Like India, also most people do that. They also pay the tax every month, and they also pay definitely the fuel cost every month. So every month cost to the buyer of Porsche Panamera was much greater because there was a gas guzzler tax. As compared to Tesla, there was a tax exemption. And he gave fuel free to the initial buyers of the Tesla Model S. So there was no fuel cost. Charging was free. So there was a substantial difference between the monthly cost, and at the same price, Tesla Model S was considered as a cheaper car than Porsche Panamera. And then what Tesla said is that Tesla is $100,000 electric sex, and then you don't have to go slow to go green. So they completely changed the narrative of an electric vehicle. And then their business plan was they will start at the top, they will make profit at the top, and then they will start developing smaller and cheaper vehicles as they grow. And that is what they are doing. You can see that is exactly what is happening. What happened in India was Mahindra already had Ford Escort. So they did some changing to the styling, changed to the styling, and they launched it as Verito. And they also launched an electric vehicle they called e-Verito. You can see that the price differential between the two is very high, and there is nothing extra that you give with e-Verito. So naturally, the consequences were clear. People did not take that e-Verito. Now, having burned their fingers, Mahindra has realized that they cannot work on the cheap vehicle strategy. And now their vehicles are all at the higher end of the electric vehicles. There are still some MSMEs who are working on small electric vehicles, and I wish good luck to them. Now, what is happening in the Indian EV market? In the Indian EV market, you see that the MSMEs are focused on 2 and 3 wheelers. They are also focused on 4-wheeled commercial vehicles, and some are working on low-cost electric cars. The legacy companies, they are focused on full-size electric cars. They are focused on buses and maybe some trucks. Some companies are will to be working on trucks. And MSMEs as well as the legacy companies both are working on agricultural tractors. Not many tractors have come in the market, but they are working on it. Now I see there is a direct conflict between the MSMEs and the legacy companies, and that is very serious. serious for the MSMEs. And we see what is happening in the two-wheeler market. That will happen in three-wheeler market, and four-wheeler, I really doubt what will happen. I mean, it's going to be serious. Now, what are the advantages that legacy companies have and the MSME startups have? And they have to leverage on their advantage rather than going head on and competing with a legacy company. That is my opinion. Maybe others have different opinion. Now, legacy companies have land, they have building, they have automated production lines, they have carryover parts. They can use parts from their existing products. They also have a lot of tooling available, which also can be used. They have liquidity, they have money. Then they have retailer and dealer network. So they have the ability to address the mass market. If you look at the startups, they have young engineering talent. They have the latest engineering know-how. They have low-cost manpower. They are not taking as much salary as compared to senior people who are working in large industry. The salaries are much higher. Then they have the ability to develop specialized products because they themselves are working on the computers. They can develop new products, more specialized products. That flexibility legacy players do not have. They are, you can say, they are elephants, whereas the startups are like, very small leopards. So they have to leverage that. Then they can use the flexible manufacturing technology. A lot of new technology has come, which gives a lot of flexibility. You can manufacture even one product. Then they have ability to address niche markets. Niche markets are far more profitable. They are not small markets. They are large enough and they are very profitable. If you see in the particularly UK, UK is manufacturing $3 billion worth of niche products, and 80% of niche products they are exporting. So niche products don't consider as small. The opportunity is very huge. Every engine-driven application can be electrified. So you don't consider that is a small opportunity only limited to and three-wheelers. No, it is not. Every year, 15 million engines are manufactured for general purpose applications. What are those applications? Now, before that, let us understand that electric drive has much better capability. You can do something which was not possible with the engine. You could not have made this kind of a vehicle with a diesel engine or a petrol engine, which became possible only because there was an electric drive. So look at something where there is an advantage in using the electric drive. This is the kind of variety of equipment or recreational products, general purpose products that are produced and sold in huge numbers all over the world. There are like a little closer view of what you can see. There are outboard motors, there are amphibious vehicles, there are snowmobiles, there are snow throwers, grass equipment, farm equipment. There is no limit. Now let us look at some specialized products that one can do with a lot of advantage in electric drive. As I mentioned, that electric drive has certain advantages over the engines. And let us see where we can really penetrate, where there are a lot of advantages. Underground mining, tunneling, where air is very precious. Now, this precious air is something that we can conserve and we can go for electric. Military equipment. There are a lot of military equipment which they have to keep running. They can't shut it off. And they consume fuel for an obvious reason. They also have problem because they operate at high altitude. There is a problem of startability of the engine. There is a lack of power because of high altitude, lesser dense air. And the biggest problem is because the engine heats up, it becomes a target for enemy. It can be seen through infrared camera. So that is another very serious thing, and Army is looking for electrification. Electrification of different vehicles, we are also working on it currently. Airport equipment. This requires very smooth drive. You cannot have a jerky pull for the aircraft landing gear. So all this can be done by electric drive system much better than the engines. You have farm equipment of all kinds of things. It can be also for forestry, some special type of vehicles. Robotic harvesting. This is another area where, harvesting of mangoes, harvesting of apples, all these are possible. Remote towns, hill stations, where fuel is difficult. So you can penetrate into those markets. Wildlife sanctuaries. This is another market which is available to us. Now, there are a lot of opportunities. The opportunities you can see, one is retrofitment. The second is OE sale, the companies who are planning to develop any special equipment which will be electric. We can sell to those OEs. And we also have some plans to develop some vehicles which will be very specialized vehicles, which will be very different than what the IC engine vehicles are, with some better capabilities. Now, there are design considerations. When you replace an engine with an electric drive, you need to consider a few things, like first, the torque. The torque of any engine is very flat. Diesel engine torque is much flatter than petrol engine. Whereas if you see the torque of the motor, there are two things that we need to look at. Many people quote only the peak torque. Peak torque of an electric motor is available only for few seconds or few minutes. Now, all these equipment, they require full torque for all the time. So you cannot consider peak torque of the motor. That is not at all relevant for any such application. You need to consider only continuous torque. So let's talk about the continuous torque. And you see that after certain RPM, the torque drops very significantly. Now, this again is not acceptable. Throughout the operating range, the torque has to be constant. So we need to develop a motor which will meet those characteristics. This is how we have done it. We have developed a motor specifically for replacing the engines, and we have a very flat torque curve, and it is completely available. The entire torque is available till the end. Now, when you have the hydroelectric drive system, electric drive makes a lot of sense. There are multiple pumps which are driven by a single engine, and if you split multiple pumps and drive them by different motors, you can save a lot of energy, a lot of fuel. There are also different applications where there are structural loads coming on the motor. You need to make the housing of the motor and the driveline of the motor completely compatible with the drive system so that it gets integrated into the drive system. There are shock loads, there are thrust loads coming on it. You need to have auxiliary drives. So all this needs to be taken into account when you drive that. This is a very short presentation that I will give you for telling you how we are operating in the market. We are already into the wildlife sanctuaries. You can see that our converted vehicle can climb 45-degree climb. Even petrol vehicle can't do that. See the gradability on completely untrodden path. This is not a road on which any vehicle goes. This was the desert trial that our vehicle has gone through. We have given vehicles also to for the ceremonial purpose. We are interacting at top level. You can see 3-star generals, and they are all star generals who are discussing with me. Even the President of India has taken one of our vehicles. So let's work together and we can cooperate with each other and let us make something better for our country. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Rajiv sir. It's a wonderful insights and experience you have shared with our audience. So, sir, our audience is a bit know about what Pixie electric car means. If someone who wants to join with Pixie for any business related thing, so what are the verticals? Means how they can join with Pixie, or what is the service area Pixie is doing? Means just one thing we
One
know
student.
about that Pix. Yeah. Is there anyone who want to ask question? Okay. So, just want to know what are the services and business verticals in Pixie?
Well, currently, we are a very, very small company. We are a startup company. And we have developed the electric drive system, as I mentioned. And our electric drive system is designed for replacing the engine. Now, our initial target is to start with retrofitment. We have identified one or two applications where we will manufacture and sell our drive system for retrofitment. We will not do retrofitment ourselves. We are planning to appoint dealers to do the retrofitment. And as soon as we start with retrofitment, we have done some field work. We have already done some field trials. Once we are through with the retrofitment, we will also start giving our product for various applications. One application we are already working with a very large company is for a tractor. So our motors, our drive systems have been proven on tractor also. And then we will start giving it for retrofitment on various equipment and also for manufacture of new equipment. We will supply our drive system. That is our plan.
Okay.
So anyone
And
who wants
something I
to,
think also in waterways, some electric boat initiatives are going on in Kerala and some other south side.
that's correct. Our motors are compatible with every engine application. So wherever there is an engine, I have not shown what, or I had shown outboard motor for sure. Maybe you missed that. So wherever engines are used, we want to replace that with our drive system. And our drive system is very much capable of replacing even waterways, or there are also houseboats in Kerala. So we have motors which will replace the engines for houseboats, fishing trawlers, uh, all these applications will be covering.
Right. So now we are open for the question answer session. I like to invite from the audience, if you have any question, you can directly ask with Rajiv sir. Kalaivani ma'am, you.
Sir, sir, very nice, sir.
Yeah.
Very, very
Hmm.
informative.
Hmm.
Actually, nowadays we are facing a lot of problem in terms of in electrical vehicle, various model of battery systems. One company using one battery. It's not unique. The charging problem is uh, uh, very high. Electric vehicle charging problem is very high. What is your perspective on the charging station and battery ecosystems in electric vehicle?
Well, every vehicle will have different drive system. You cannot have same drive system on all kinds of vehicles. Different vehicles will have different requirement in terms of power, in terms of performance, in terms of voltages. And it is up to the charging system producer to manufacture charging systems which are more universal. And we are not working on that anyway. But you cannot expect the batteries to be standardized. It is not possible. You don't think about having a standard vehicle for every customer. One shoe does not fit everybody.
Okay.
Thank you. Any more question? Okay, so there is no question from the audience, but from my side, let's see. We work with Coimbatore cluster, and this Coimbatore cluster is a hub of motor manufacturing company. So, in retrofitment kit means what are the components required that can be this MSME, especially tier 2, tier 3 industry can uh, make a product for kits. So, not only for this particular your kit, but what is the market size and what are the important parts that should be there in the retrofitment kit that can be manufactured through this industry. So we are trying to help Coimbatore cluster as well as in Chennai. So we are trying to make an ecosystem. So how this company can connect with the industry, startup industry, as well as the legacy players, as you are already said. So, what are the main components involved in this kits?
If anybody is thinking about making components and supplying components as a kit, it is not going to work.
Okay.
If you give a set of components, loose components to the dealer and expect that the dealer will do the integration, it is not going to work. Yeah. So you need to make a system, an entire system. Because if you take different components and try to build a car, no, it doesn't work. So that is where we differentiate. We don't supply
Okay.
components. We supply a system, and the systems are designed for the end application. So there is no such thing as making components and then selling in the market. It doesn't work, and that's why
Right.
they are not successful. I've seen a lot of them trying to sell such components, and not many are successful.
Got it.